Arturia is well known for making stunning sounding synth plugins, but what they're not so well known for is making really fantastic audio effects processing plugins. Recently, they released the Fx Collection 2 bundle, which includes 4 compressors, 3 reverbs, 3 delays, 3 filters, 2 choruses, 2 flangers, as well as a unique plugin called Bus Force. We won't have enough time to review every single plugin in the bundle, but I am going to show you the 3 ones I've been using the most in my mixes as of late. Let's get into it. All right, guys, the first plugin that we're going to check out is called Bus Force. It's a parallel processor. It's one of the ones I've been using the most since I've been trying these out. It's made its way into my mixes quite a bit, and it reminds me a lot of this hardware unit by a company called Overstayer here in LA. And the hardware unit's called a module channel, and it seems to be modeled after that, if you ask me. Even the knobs look kind of like the Overstayer knobs, but that's neither here nor there. I'm super happy that they have one that is loosely based on it, because I honestly wanted the hardware unit, but it was so back-ordered that I just didn't want to wait that long, and I'd rather have a plug-in than a hardware unit these days anyway. So let's get into what it does. It's a fairly complicated plugin, but once you get your head around it, there's so much you can do with it. So it is a parallel processor, like I said. It has 3 different channels you could call channels here. You have your dry path, your compression path, and your saturation path. Then each one of these paths you can add different modules to. So the different modules we have are EQ, a filter section, a compression section, and a saturation section, okay? Now, different paths only allow you to add different modules. I'm not sure why they did it that way, but they did. It's fine. Probably be way too many options if they did anyway. But the dry path, all you can add is the equalizer, okay? So that's just your dry signal. Then you have a compression path, the compressor, the filter, and the equalizer. And you can't change the paths around, unfortunately, which would have been kind of cool, but that's the way they have it in here. And then lastly, the saturation path has every unit in it: the saturation, the compression, the filter, and the EQ. Now, before we get into some examples, let's just kind of run through what each one of these do. Equalizer has a low shelf and a high shelf, and then this presence section, which is just a basic mid-range band. Really cool that each section has a visual display. I could like having that. It's freaking 2021. We should just have this. Next is a filter, and it's basic high pass, low pass, but they added the high pass filter peak, which can give you some different sounds and is helpful. And it's kind of something you see in synths a lot, which makes sense with Arturia. They do a lot of great synths. That's maybe why they added it in there. Next is the compression section. It's a basic compressor, stereo or dual modes, which is nice to have. Attack release, threshold, makeup, sidechain filter, which is cool. You can do that internal or external. Always great to have both of those. And then force, which is kind of like the ratio, but it's the amount of compression applied above threshold. So, there's 2.0, and then it just goes up from there. So basically, it's your ratio. I don't know why they call it force, but it is what it is. Lastly is the saturation section. So you have a harmonics knob, and then they have this thick mode, right? But then even harmonics and odd harmonics, which I love. Even harmonics always makes things warm, so that's good, nice to have. And then you can overdrive it, right? And then lastly is the makeup. So this is how the plugin defaults. I created my own default plugin, which is I call 0. And the reason I did that was I actually just wanted it to start with just the dry path. These are like your faders, in other words, right? So let's just check this out, and then we'll show you what we can do with it. So here's our drums, bypassed, dry, just the way they are. So now let's try adding something in. So I'm going to slowly turn up this saturation, and then we'll add some harmonics and overdrive just to see, and you can see how it just starts blending in. So you could do that. One of my favorite presets that I made is extra kick top. So when I need a kick to cut through a bit more, I have this saturation path on. And it's got some thick saturation. It is either compressed or not. I have two different settings. This version is not compressed. And then the filter section is on. So I'm just letting the high parts of the signal through, right? So it's just the tap part. And that's why I call it extra kick top, because it will give it me extra kind of tap on the top. So let me show you what that sounds like, bypassed and not. So just right there, you can see like the kind of stuff you could do. I mean, that to me, that sound can change your mix right out the gate. And I use this setting. You can copy it if you guys want, all the time on a lot of mixes. And then I actually have another preset called extra kick top with compression. So this one has the compressor built in if I want it. Let me just play you with the compressor, without the compressor. You can hear what it's the difference. So you notice with the compressor, it's got a little more tap, the snare's quicker and so forth. Without it, it's a little more like opened up. So depending on what kind of sound I need, I can turn, switch with compressor or without the compressor. So super versatile plugin. I could talk about it for days, but it's best to really just spend a couple hours with this plugin and understand how it works. And then you can really start going into finding all kinds of unique sounds and ways to use it. Okay, the next plugin that I really dig out of this bundle is the Reverb Plate 140. Now you're like, this is a boring plate plugin. Why are we even going over this? Well, everything that Arturia does, they do it like extra. So when you open this plugin, it's just this basic plate. So if you're new or a producer or just getting into engineering, this is all you need. It has 3 different reverb modes, 3 different plate modes, your decay time, a wet, dry, blend, and then a stereo width. That's all it is. And it's got this really cool, this is why I like this reverb, by the way, this really cool drive to it that you can drive some distortion into it and just really livens up the plate reverb. So let's check it out on this vocal. First, I'll just play it for you guys, just kind of dry, and then I'm going to dig into the advanced parts of it.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is.
So sounds great. That's just default. Then I went ahead and made some of my own settings. So this is Matty Basic. Then when you pull it down, you have a pre-delay, a high-pass filter, a modulation section, okay, and then a post-EQ. So you can either like use this in a very simple way or get more dialed in with it. And so for some of my presets I used on this, I was able to add more to it. So this preset just has the drive up a bit and a shorter decay time. So check it out.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah.
So cool. You hear that drive when you brought it up? Let me take this little delayed thing out. When you bring the drive up, it really kind of gives the reverb some more energy. Next, I also have my other one, which is MH Modulation Dirt. And what that does is it gives, I add the modulation to it, crank the modulation, crank the drive, and what I'll do is I'll go back and forth between my Modulation Dirt one and my kind of basic clean one, so you can hear like the different flavors you can get from the reverb.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah.
So like the basic one you might want to use on like, a piano thing when it's very like clean and like not too much going on. But the modulation one could be something for more exciting, a big hook or something like that. So I love plugins that are really easy to dial in, but you can get a lot of flavors out of it. So that's why I like this reverb so much. Okay, the last plugin we're gonna check out is another old standard, and you're like, great, another 1176 plugin. Well, this one is kind of unique and you can do a lot more with it. I've actually reviewed it, so I've reviewed 3 of the compressors before, and I'll put a link to it up above so you guys can check it out if you want to see a little more in-depth review of the other compressors. But I still wanted to add this one because this is like my go-to 1176. And there's a couple reasons why. One is it has this link. which to me, every 1176 compressor should have this link so that the more I drive it, the output pulls down and we're not getting like screaming loud and it's annoying. It's really easy to use. You can standard really fast release and a medium attack is easy to do. You can do all buttons in if you want just by clicking here. So basic 1176. Now the other cool part about it has this big parallel knob on it, and this actually is one of the plugins I use for parallel compression on vocals. So I have it kind of set up ready to go, and then I can adjust it to taste if I need to. But where this plugin excels and just is huge is when you go to the advanced once again. So like the same kind of theory, and this is like with all their plugins, you can dial it in more. You can use it as a basic plugin the old emulation way, or you can go extra features and really dial in your sound. So what this has is it has an internal sidechain, which is cool. Then it has this detector mode. So you can do different detector modes. So it's either linked or you can do dual, reversed, which is interesting, mid only or side only. So you can compress in a bunch of different ways. Then it has this time warp section. And what that is like the snap is like a look ahead, which isn't on a normal 1176. And the loose kind of delays the detector. And you can really hear a difference. Let me play this for you. Let's get rid of our plate just to get rid of the reverb. But let's do a basic 1176 setting, fast release, medium attack. And we're just going to take it down to 3-5 dB, okay?
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry.
Okay, so there's that, right? Now, I assume 0, it means it's just kind of the basic 1176 emulation. But take a listen to it when you switch to snap and then when we switch to loose.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah.
So snap and loose are good terms for it because it's a little bit snappier, it's a little tighter, maybe good for pop stuff, right? If you want to go more this side. Or loose, if it's like a rock thing or like a slower ballad or something a little more vintage sounding, the loose might be good where it kind of moves a little bit more. So that time warp feature is really huge. Also, they have a sidechain built in, which, say we have this vocal, we don't want to compress much of the low end, but that nasty 3K area is like a little too much, right? So we can do it with this by, going to 3K and then boosting it a bit. So let's check this out. So we'll stay at 0 and then I'll slowly boost it up and you'll hear the difference.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is.
So you can see it gets a little warmer when we turn this up and we're, squashing down those kind of nasty 2-3K frequencies. And then you have a low pass filter and you can listen to your sidechain here. Lastly, another feature I really dig is compression range. And so what this does is say we only want this thing to compress 3 dB and no more. And that's great for something that's really dynamic. Sometimes you'll be using compression, you'll start off at a certain spot and then the last chorus, it's just screaming. And you look at your compressor and you're knocking 20 dB off, which sometimes good, sometimes not so good. So if you have it set 3, this isn't going to hit, no matter where we are in the song, any more than 3 dB of gain reduction.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby.
So see, no matter where we do it, faster attack, still only 3 dB. So really cool feature to have. So those are the 3 plugins I've been using the most out of this Arturia Fx bundle. The Dimension D is really cool. All of them are really cool. And they all have that same feature where you can use it as a basic plugin or dial in and use the advanced features. So probably, in my opinion, some of the better emulations out there just because all the added features that you can use. Let me know what you guys think about the plugins in the comments below. If you need your songs mixed or mastered, hit me up at mixandmastermysong.com. You can also check out my presets and courses there as well. Talk to you soon.